To create a master image, please follow my handout, Procedure for Creating a Master Image using Photoshop, which is in Canvas under the course Art 161 or CMP 145 under Adjustments Practice Exercise. And that should be in Module 2. So if you're working from the Canvas site, please go to the Adjustments Practice page and go to where it shows a link that says Adjustment Layer Summer 2017. It's in a JPEG format. Download that. Then go to the Master Image Outline document, which is below that, the link to it, and go ahead and click on that to download it also. You'll need both of these for this procedure. And now we've gone to the Adjustment Layer Summer 2017 image and opened that up. After we've opened that up, we need to evaluate the image. And if you take a closer look at this, there's a lot of little imperfections in the image which have been added in to simulate the idea that possibly this image was scanned or it had digital imperfections in the file itself, which can be RGB artifacts, which can create these little spots that show up on your image. So that can happen at any time, but that's one of the other things that we need to deal with this image too. But one of the very first things we want to deal with is the image size. So we're going to go up to the very top of Photoshop where it says image. We're going to go down to image size, and then I'm going to move my window down so you can, recording window, so you can see. But the dialog box comes up for the image size, and in that we have, it shows 6.4 inches by 4.8 inches at 480 resolution. For this specific exercise, I want everyone to create this image to a specific size, 15 inches by 11 inches at 200 resolution. So you can see on this, on the right hand side it shows inches, but there are other options on here. For us, we're just going to use inches. So the first thing you want to do is you do not want to go in here and change this number to 15 for the 15 inches because of the fact that it will change the whole image completely. And what it will do is it'll go down from this 20 megapixels down or up to 11 megapixels because it's keeping the resolution the same, but it's increasing the size almost double, if not more, probably triple. But you don't want to do that. So I'm just going to go Command Z to undo that and go back to where we were. So if that happens to you, go ahead and make those, just go ahead and undo using Command Z. And then what we want to do is click the Resample button and change this to 200. So as you can see, when we change this, it's not changing the image size or the pixel size because of the fact that we've unchecked this resample. So when we do that, it locks in with this little bracket. It locks in the width, height, and resolution, so it won't change the image size or the pixel size. So when we do that, we see that we're very close to the right size, 15 by 11 inches. So we're going to go back and click this resample button, and what we can do is we can take out that 30.36. So we'll do that, but see, we still have the height problem in here because that has to do with the ratio of the image itself. So in order to correct that, we need to crop it. So we could also do all these sizing with width and height and resolution in the crop tool in the tools box also, but I'm going to leave it as is right now, and then I'll show you how to crop this off as doing it this way through the image size. And we'll say OK, and then as we go to the crop tool in the toolbox, now if we go to the crop tool in the toolbox, it's going to have a setting in the options at the very top. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I was trying to move our window here, and so if I go in there, it'll show at the very top, it'll show that we have the set to ratio. So there's settings in here. This is going to be width, height, and then you can also clear the numbers. If you already have numbers in here from some other exercise that you've done, you make sure you clear it first. You can go with ratio, you can go with all these other ratios if you want to, different sizes, pixel sizes, and so on. But for what we're doing width, height, and resolution. So if you choose that, we can go ahead and set 15 inch and then go to 11 inch. Now you get this funny notice, but just ignore it because I'm putting in the inch markers. Oops, I need to put in 11 inch. There we go. And then you can actually put in the resolution. So you can put in 200. So that's your pixels per inch. Now you have the pixels by centimeters too. So when we do that, what it does is Photoshop the crop area. Actually, if we zoom out on this, you can see the crop area is these little outside brackets around the image itself. And what it does is it makes it to the actual 15 inches with 11 inch ratio and also at 200 resolution, pixels per inch resolution. So the only problem with this is it's cutting off a little bit of the image down here. So what you can do is you can click on your image and you can click and drag the image within that box. So if you move it around, if it's not specific, you can either cut off more of the top, the blue sky area, or you can cut off more of the sand. And I'm going to cut off the sand because we don't need it. It looks a little bit more centered this way. Then at the very top of your page in the options, there's two checkboxes on, well, a checkbox and a diagonal circle with a diagonal line through it, or a circle with a diagonal line through it. So this one means you're going to commit that crop. This one means you want to delete that and go back to the original. So I'll go ahead and check this, and when I check it, it crops the image and sets it to the appropriate size. So now when we go up under image size again, you can go up here and you can see that now the image is set to 15 by 11 at 200 is exactly the way we want. So I don't need to say OK, it's already set. So I'll just say cancel. Move my recording window down and you can see this. So the next thing we want to do, we're going to zoom in and make the corrections to these little imperfections in here. So normally I like to get as big as possible on this because of the fact that we want to see every little imperfection possible. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more on this and you can see some of these areas. So after you zoom in, you can use the space key to hold your, just click on the space key, it gives you the hand tool, and you can move your hand tool around within your image, so that way you can get to all the little spots that you need to on your image. And that's only when you're zoomed in, so this won't work when you're zoomed out and you have the whole picture within the canvas area of Photoshop. So when you go in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go over to the left hand side. Now we use crop last, but down below crop there's the tool called the spot healing brush. So if I click and hold the mouse key down for a second, it'll show you what else is in here. And that's what these little triangles stand for. They stand for other tools within that same tool area. So we're going to use the spot healing brush. There are the healing brush tool, there's also the patch tool, the content aware tool, and the red eye tool. So we're just going to be using the spot healing brush for this exercise. So I'm going to click on that, and then when I move over my spot that I want to remove, notice it's got kind of a crosshair look to it. Now there's a couple different ways of looking at this. If you had your caps lock on for some reason, it'll have this kind of a crosshair on it, and if you unclick it, you'll have the actual size of your tool brush. And if you want to increase the size, you can right click on it and just move this out, and you can see the size increases as you move it out. Or you can go in here and use your right bracket, which makes it bigger, and your left bracket makes it smaller. So if you want to use those, all you do is just hit the left bracket on your keyboard, or this is the right bracket, the larger, left bracket, smaller. It's a very easy way of doing it. So you get it to about the right size and you click on it. So if you click and drag, you can get rid of these, and it shows black at first, but what it does is it resamples the pixels around it and figures out the specific color that and pixels that it needs to be replaced with, and then you can clean all of these up. So as I scroll up, I can clean these up very nicely. And you'll see as you go through, you'll see that there's a lot of different spots in here. So there's black ones and there's white ones. And like I said, this is just a simulation. So the other way I want to show you to make corrections too, and this is also in the textbook, is over on the left-hand side, two tools down from the spot healing brush is the clone stamp tool. Now note when you scroll over the tools, it'll tell you what it is, and it also tells you what the keyboard shortcut is. So on the spot healing brush it's J. For the clone stamp tool it's S. So we'll go over these two. We'll talk about keyboard shortcuts too. But I'm going to use the clone stamp tool, and I'm going to go ahead and click on this and let go. Make sure, see, I have clone stamp and then a pattern stamp. So you want to make sure you're in the clone stamp tool. The clone stamp tool works a little differently. So the way it works is you need to use the option key. So you hold the option key down, and that's your sampling from this specific area, and you click and drag with your mouse, let go of your mouse key, and then let go of the option key. And what it does is it shows you a preview of how it's going to change. So now that I click, you can see it pulls from that little crosshair area to the area that I want to change. So in this, I can change this, change all that, this. So I'm cloning these all out. So what happens too is if you go too far, it'll try to clone that specific area, because the place that it's cloning from is overlapping where the actual circle was before the resample area. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my spot healing brush because I want to get rid of these other spots down here. They're a lot cleaner, I think, when you use the spot healing brush. I think it's a lot cleaner way of going because it's more specific. It works really great on faces, and you know, this is how they get rid of the imperfections on model photography and so on. So I'll keep moving around, but you know, you can get rid of other areas. Like you can get rid of these dark spots. If you don't like those dark spots, you can get rid of those. Sometimes they take your attention away. So if you see things you don't like, you can get rid of those too. It's very easy to do, very simple, nice and clean. And here's another spot. These look like that RGB artifacts that you typically get on photographs. Okay. Oops. I have to actually see what I'm doing. I was pushing on the wrong key, so I wasn't pushing on the space bar key. And I'm looking for more imperfections. There's another one there. And I think I've got everything. So the only other area is his sunglasses. So he has those really big spots on his sunglasses. So I'm going to go in here with a very small spot healing brush because I don't need a big one, and get rid of these. Now I can click and drag to get rid of them, and they look pretty darn good. So you may have to pull a little bit to get that to look quite right. So sometimes that works great, sometimes it doesn't. There's also this little white spot on his face that, you know, we can get rid of that really quick too. And that looks pretty darn good, especially since we're zoomed in at almost 300%. So of course it looks even better when you zoom out. So if you see any other imperfections, you know, you can see there's a little spot here that looks kind of funny, and even those, you know, next to the head, if it takes away from the image, you can get rid of those. You know, it's just one of those things that you have the opportunity to do if you want to. Sometimes they look perfect and sometimes not, but especially in these sand areas, it's pretty easy to do. So you can zoom out on this and you can get a better idea of how this looks, and it looks pretty darn good. So I think that's it for the cleaning up, and the only thing left we have to do is we're going to go into making levels adjustments or curves adjustments, and going to set all those based on the specific master image outline that we have talked about earlier. So that's the beginning of this process. So this is section 1 of the creating a master image using Photoshop. So look for section 2 coming up soon. Thanks.